Charles Blow, Rob Bluey, Lydia Moynihan, Ashley Allison, and Terry Moran. Americans with different perspectives aren't talking to each other, but here they do. Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. We are just days away now from Maine's primary election, and Democrats are facing a dilemma tonight as the party is navigating a series of controversies surrounding Senate candidate Graham Platner. The latest blow, published by the New York Times, alleging unsettling and, in at least one case, physically threatening behavior toward his former girlfriends. Platner denies the accusations, and tonight he is plowing forward with his campaign.
When hurtful things I said on the internet a decade ago came out into the public, as I shared my personal journey through PTSD and darkness, of recovery and accountability and growth, Maine had my back. Now, as every single piece of that past and journey gets dug up, litigated, and weaponized, you have my back. And when politically motivated, serious and false accusations are made against me, Maine, you have my back.
And he got some backup from Democratic Senator Ro Khanna. Listen.
He understood that those years that he came back were not the best years of his life. He was ashamed of some of the things he said and did. And then he, unlike others, took accountability for it. And he's worked to be a better man, a better human being.
Democrats see Maine Senate race as a must-win in order to take back the chamber in November. And with Platner on the defense, sources tell CNN, people are now urging Maine's governor, Janet Mills, to re-enter the race after she dropped out in April. It might be a little bit too late, and I think many people acknowledge that even if she were to get back into it, she had just suspended her campaign, it may not make a difference. But you know what was notable to me listening to Graham Platner just now was just how scripted he was in that moment. Suddenly he is like a politician, just like any other person, trying to turn water into wine effectively. And I think that tells me a lot about this particular incident, is that it's the same playbook. It's deny, deflect, defend, and then try to move on. And I'm just wondering if that's okay with Democrats, given the circumstances.
Oh, is that for me?
Charles.
I'm not a Democrat.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm actually quite surprised that Abby Phillip has a bit of a backbone, because this is the third episode on Platner this week alone. So she's clearly not letting Graham Platner slide. She does call him out again, and you can tell in the panel, Charles Blow and Ashley Allison did not expect that. And I think in the left especially, for years, the rule has been that we should believe all women when they come forward with these allegations. And I'm not saying we should do that. But it seems to me when a woman accuses a Democrat candidate, in this case Graham Platner, all of a sudden the rules seem to have disappeared overnight. That's my concern. And the only thing that's changed was her party, and that the accused is no longer Trump. So very predictably throughout this clip, the panel constantly pivots to Trump. And to me, that's spinning. That is mere trolling. And there is really no moral equivalence in what Trump did and Platner's tattoo, for example. So let's get into this. I'm going to share my opinions as well.
I don't think people are saying that it's necessarily okay, right? So I don't think that any abuse of anyone is legitimate, right, defensible. If what these three women allege is true, it is condemnable. But that said, that conversation has to happen with the voters of Maine. I will not be lectured by anybody who supports Donald Trump about the abuse of women, ever. So when Republicans try to enter that discussion with me, you cannot. unless you are going to say that you are also upset and unwilling to support someone who has bragged on tape about assaulting women.
But what about the discussion with other Democrats?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because I mean, other Democrats are saying,
and it's a primary, so
hey,
the
this is a
Democrats need to
problem.
make the decision.
Yeah.
And when it's over, whoever is against goes up against Susan Collins, I'm for. If you go to the floor of the Senate when Kavanaugh has been accused, and you say, Christine Blasey Ford, she's been traumatized. This is her words. She's been traumatized. I'm sure she's been assaulted. However, I do not believe her, and I'm going to vote for him anyway. And in that same speech, she said that Kavanaugh was not, and she assured voters in America that Kavanaugh was not going to vote to overturn Roe. And what did he do? Exactly that. So at the end of the day, I'm going to support whoever comes out of that primary.
It's interesting you mentioned the Christine Blasey Ford incident. And Ro Khanna, who is speaking tonight at Graham Platner's event, was very supportive of her. And the Democratic ethos for a long time was believe all women, believe all women. And of course, Christine Blasey Ford was lauded. She was hosted on The View. She was on the cover of Time magazine. She was on CBS. She was a celebrity for the left. And there was no evidence actually to suggest that she had even met Brett Kavanaugh. And yet the Democrats embrace that hook, line, and sinker. And now that has changed. And it's only changed because the accuser against Graham Platner is a Republican. That is it. There is no difference. The only reason they want to discredit her, and the very people who were defending Christine Blasey Ford are now attacking
and
her.
Went after E. Jean Carroll and tried to discredit her because she was a woman attacking a Republican.
Lydia actually has a point. The left did turn Christine Blasey Ford into some sort of a national hero. And what is scary is that they could do that to anybody, male or female, on someone's hearsay, because not a single witness could corroborate her account. So they could just demolish someone's reputation in public with no corroboration. So that's what's so monstrous about them. And the irony is that at the Platner's rally, Ro Khanna says, believe the women, while Platner calls it a politically motivated attack. So the Dems can't keep their story straight in the same room even. So which is it? Should we believe all women or only the convenient ones? Let me know in the comment section. Have you ever seen the rule change this fast, or is this only typical for the Democrats?
Is that the same reason?
Those accusations. So
no,
let's be
on
clear.
Saturday. You said this on Saturday.
About
Do you want me to read back what you said on Saturday?
Feel free.
Okay, please.
Feel
Thank
free.
you. Thank you, because I come prepared. Okay, so first thing you said.
Okay, I'm going to be careful here because people have had to pay millions of dollars for making the same comments that you're about to make.
Okay, so let me read, and I'm going to start with the quote. I actually do think that if you look at E. Jean Carroll's case now, there is new evidence coming to light. She says that Reid Hoffman has nothing to do with it. It turns out that he may have, and then Abby had to correct you and let you know on Saturday what I'm going to let you know today, which is that has already been presented to a judge.
Let me just try to distill what this conversation seems to be.
Reid Hoffman did actually donate to that.
Hold on a second. This is not about Reid Hoffman, but I do want to observe something about this interaction, because if you're a regular non-red shirt, blue shirt wearing American, what you're basically seeing is that Democrats have decided that sometimes it's okay to believe the accuser and sometimes it's not. And then Republicans have decided that sometimes it's okay to believe the accuser and sometimes it's not. And it really depends mostly on the partisanship in the moment. To me, that is like everything that people think is wrong with our politics.
And Abby, you saw it on display at Graham Platner's rally tonight. You had Ro Khanna get up and basically say, we should believe the women who have come out and disclosed these allegations. And then you had Graham Platner saying the exact opposite, that it was a politicized attack. His campaign went on the offensive and went after Lindsay Fifield in that New York Times story. And so they can't even get their own message straight on the same stage in which they're appearing.
So
Do you
let-
believe,
let-
you
let-
believe that women their stories should be credited and they should be believed?
Well, you know what, Charles? I actually worked with Lindsay Fifield for many years.
Okay.
She was my colleague. I was
Yes.
her boss. And
Yes.
so in this particular case, yes, I think Lindsay is a credible person, and I do believe her.
But not Christine Blasey Ford. You don't believe that? Or do you credit it at all?
Let's also
There
be
were a
clear,
lot-
this is
No,
happening.
I just want to ask, because when you interviewed Lindsey Graham in 2018, you didn't ask a single word about her. You had literally prompted him to repeat what he had said in the Senate and did not say anything about the case that she was presenting. I don't believe that you do care about what women are saying.
Oh, okay.
I just think,
let me ask. I mean, well, okay, let's just be transparent about this. You don't believe Christine Blasey Ford. Is he right about that?
I think there are many holes that were poked in Christine Blasey Ford's story, not only by Senate Republicans at the time, but also in all of the information that was revealed. I mean, it was clearly an attempt to try to take down Justice Kavanaugh.
So that's
you
a
don't
no.
believe- is that a no?
But
Is that a long way of saying that?
Charles, you said the people of Maine will decide. Sure, they will.
Right.
Do you believe Lindsay Fifield?
I believe that her story should be taken as at face value to say this is what
So,
she believes. I don't know what it has to be
yes.
I think it has to be litigated. Yeah, we have to look into
I mean,
it.
does it?
I believe so.
Because,
I believe in every case. I believe in every case.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, Brett Kavanaugh's situation was not going to be litigated. The ask
Well,
from Democrats was take it at face value and don't vote.
No, there was testimony.
there was
First of all, there was
testimony.
testimony.
Yeah, but that's not litigation. That's
not lit- I think
testimony in a
let's not-
confirmation hearing.
Right.
So
Investigate
the
it, at
ask
least.
was listen to this woman, believe her, and vote against his nomination. That was the ask.
Here's what I'll say. I think to your point, if you feel like you do have a blue or a red jersey on, I think we are living in a hypocritical political environment right now. And it is hard to take any accusation and any stance of moral clarity with any real validity because of who is our current president, quite honestly. And I think
That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. She basically said because of who sits in the White House right now, we can't possibly have moral clarity. And she wants to give Graham Platner a permission slip. Think about that.
he has been convicted by a jury of his peers. He has said called most people everything but a child of God. And then people are asked to hold themselves to a higher standard than the leader of our nation. And I think that is hard for people because we are all flawed humans. What I will say, and I've been saying this for the last 24 hours, the accusations that came out in this investigation are very disturbing to me. I will never in this iteration of the political cycle get to vote for Graham Platner. Mainers will decide. But what I will say is that sometimes, and the American public actually did this in 2024, sometimes people's immoral character flaws are less consequential to their life circumstances. And in this instance, I think Mainers are saying Susan Collins is not representing them in the way that they want to be representative. And they are willing to overlook that. And quite honestly, so did 79 million Americans in 2024.
So did tens of millions of Americans who voted for Donald
That's
Trump.
what I'm saying. But the question is, all I just want to say is the question is in that is why are we there? Why is our economy, why is our international affairs so turbulent, so unstable that we have to overlook really flawed acts on our leaders because other people's leadership is worse?
Overlooking those things is a choice.
I'm starting to like Abby.
You know, a permissive culture happens when people allow themselves
having to
be-
feed your
to
kids
engage
is
in
not a
permissive
choice.
culture. That's what happens. But I just want to play the James Carville thing because we heard a little taste of it, but here's how he reads the situation.
We got a guy who he could be 100 times more than he is. He'd never be as as what we got in Washington now anyway. And I just saw this tut and ooh, and hey, we got to do this and we got to be fair. You know, James, if a Republican did what Graham Platner did, you would be outraged. Yeah, I would. But what I'm more outraged about and what I have to consider first is this country is about to lose it. The whole god.
James Carville looks like Gollum, and I know you agree. And his whole argument basically is, we need the seat, so it doesn't matter Trump is worse, by the way. So, to be honest, I like that sort of spirit, like the winner, the all-consuming, let's win this election spirit. I'm not going to deny that because it is politics at the end of the day. But what I want to highlight is the Dems can now stop talking about the character issues and attacking the other side on the character grounds. Because it has always been the left that has weaponized the character issue without any proof, without any litigation process. So they can stop playing the goody two-shoes. And by the way, I actually think Platner is a lot darker than Trump because of the tattoo, as well as Platner actually said he'll do these actions against men as well, because it's about dominance. Check out my Caitlin Collins episode because it actually states what he said, allegedly, that he'll do it on men as well. So think about that.
Again, I mean, you could swap the name Graham Platner for Donald Trump, and it would be the exact same rationale.
Look,
you
the
realize
allegations
that,
against
right?
Graham Platner are very serious and need to be taken seriously. I don't think any accusation carries a conviction. They need to be examined. They're far less serious than the accusations against Donald Trump, not just by E. Jean Carroll, but by many other women. Confirmed in his own attitude, you can grab him by you know what. Okay? So there are two different cases, and we should distinguish between them. But what Carville says, he's onto something. Americans are not as interested in some ways in class issues as they are in vulnerability issues. They recognize in candidates like Marjorie Taylor Greene and in Graham Platner the precariousness of life in our country. We are one divorce away from being in the toilet. We're one illness away from being in the gutter. And that is not the American way. And they hear the shiny people tutting, as he says, get this candidate out, get that candidate out, don't vote for this person, don't leave it up to the people of Maine, I trust them.
Well, okay. Then we can say pretty definitively, no more talk about character. Whether it's Donald Trump or Graham Platner or Marjorie Taylor Greene or anyone. Why not? I mean, let's not talk about it because if the policy is the thing that is the most important to you, and the policy from the left looks a certain way to you, policy from the right looks a certain way to you, then all the other moral issues should just be off the table.
No, they shouldn't be policed. But I'm saying this, I refuse. I've watched enough cycles since, 16 of Democrats being judged by a different ruler. And I'm not saying that the worst ruler should rule the day. I'm simply saying this idea of that there are different measurements for the same sorts of behavior, that some people just ignore, and other people drop out and say, okay, well, you're supposed to be the better, the more moral group.
I would like to point out, though, this is a primary. So Democrats have the opportunity to select a candidate. They can take out Susan Collins, right? This isn't about a question, do I vote for Graham Platner or do I vote for Susan Collins? This is a question, do I vote for somebody who's normal or do I vote for somebody who has a Nazi tattoo?
Let me just ask.
Trump never had the Token Cove tattoo for sure. You can be the judge. Do you think the panel, the Democratic panel, is selectively weaponizing the character grounds or not? If you want it straight, with no spin, subscribe and turn on notifications. Like the video, tell me what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.